Please, I don't need money." The man's voice trembled as he stood beneath the humming gas station light, his hands clutching a torn piece of cardboard. "Can I fix something for food, a car, a bike, anything? I'll work. I'll earn it. I just need a meal. Just one." His eyes, though sunken from sleepless nights, carried a strange spark. His clothes hung off him, filthy and worn, his shoes split open at the seams. Yet there was pride in his voice. Not a beggar's cry, but the plea of a man desperate to prove he was still worth something. A group of young men walked by, laughter spilling from them like smoke. One of them sneered, tossing his soda cup at the old man's feet. "Fix something? You can't even fix your life, old fool." The others joined in the mockery, their voices cutting sharp. "Work for food? You'd break more than you fix. Just move along, man. Nobody wants you touching their stuff." The old man's throat tightened, but he didn't curse, didn't spit back. He stood his ground, clutching his cardboard sign tighter. His lips barely moved as he whispered to himself, "I can fix it. I always could. I just need one chance." Cars came and went. Tank lids clicked shut, engines started, tires rolled away. Nobody looked twice. Hours passed and the chill of night bit into his bones. He pulled his coat tighter, though the thin fabric barely shielded him. His stomach growled louder and louder until it hurt. And still, he stayed. Near midnight, a beat-up sedan pulled into the lot, coughing and sputtering like it was breathing its last. A young man slammed the steering wheel. "Every damn time," he cursed, throwing his door open. "Piece of junk. Won't even get us home." His girlfriend sat with her arms crossed, exasperated. "I told you weeks ago we should have taken it to a shop. But no, you said you could fix it. Look at us now, stranded. Again." The boyfriend ran his hands through his hair. "You think I'm made of money? We can't afford a shop right now. Just give me a minute." The old homeless man stepped closer, careful not to alarm them. His voice was steady, respectful. "Sir, if you let me, I can fix it. No charge, just maybe a sandwich if you've got one." The young man spun toward him, glaring. "You? Fix my car? Are you kidding me? Man, you can barely stand. You'll make it worse." The girlfriend lowered the window halfway, her voice sharp with suspicion. "He probably doesn't even know what he's talking about. We don't need a stranger messing things up. Call a tow truck." But the old man didn't flinch. His voice carried a weight, quiet but firm. "I don't scam. I don't steal. I fix. Engines, they're like family to me. I know their language, every sound, every cough. Please, just give me one chance. I'll earn it." The young man smirked cruelly. "Fine, prove it, old man. But you touch my wallet, you're done. Understand? Fix the car, get food, fail, and you walk away hungry." The old man nodded once. His trembling hands, the same ones that had shaken from hunger moments ago, grew steady as soon as he touched the hood. With practiced ease, he lifted it open. His eyes scanned the engine bay with an intimacy that startled the couple. His fingers danced across wires, checked the belt, tightened a clamp. He listened, tilting his head as if hearing whispers only he understood. The girlfriend whispered to her boyfriend, "What's he even doing?" "Playing mechanic," the young man muttered. "This'll be funny." Minutes ticked by. The old man's movements were deliberate, efficient, each adjustment confident. Finally, he stepped back, his voice certain. "Try it now." The young man rolled his eyes but slid back into the driver's seat. He twisted the key. The car sputtered once, twice, then roared to life, stronger than it had in months. The headlights flared, the engine purred. The girlfriend gasped. The boyfriend's eyes widened in disbelief. "What the? No way!" He jumped out, staring under the hood as if he'd seen a ghost. "What did you do?" The old man wiped his hands on his tattered shirt, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "It just needed someone to listen. Cars. They tell you what they need, if you know how to hear them." The girlfriend stared, her skepticism dissolving. That wasn't luck. You knew exactly what to touch. The old man's gaze grew distant, as if lost in another time. I used to live for this. I used to race, engines and tracks. They were my life. But that was long ago. Now, I'm just hungry. Silence fell. The couple exchanged looks, shame creeping into their faces. The young woman hesitated, then reached into their bag, pulling out a sandwich wrapped in foil. She handed it through the window. The old man took it with both hands, as though receiving treasure. His eyes watered. Thank you. You don't know what this means. He took a slow, careful bite, savoring every crumb. The boyfriend shifted uneasily, his earlier mockery now a weight pressing on his chest. For the first time, he saw not a beggar, but a man with dignity, skill, and a story hidden beneath the dirt and rags. But the old man didn't gloat. He didn't shame them. He only ate quietly, whispering to himself, "Still works. Still good for something." The sedan pulled out of the lot minutes later, running smoother than it had in years. But long after the taillights vanished, the young man's mind replayed the scene. The old man's hands, steady and sure, the quiet confidence in his voice, the hint of a life bigger than anything they could imagine. Something inside him stirred. Who was that man? And what had the world forgotten about him? The night closed in again, but the spark had been lit. The night after the encounter at the gas station, the young man, his name was Marcus, couldn't sleep. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, his mind replaying the image of that old man's hands moving across the engine with absolute certainty. He whispered into the darkness. Who was he? Beside him, his girlfriend Alana stirred. You're still thinking about that homeless guy? Marcus turned on his side, frowning. Yeah, you saw him. That wasn't luck. The way he worked, he knew exactly what to do. My uncle's a mechanic, and even he doesn't move like that. It was like watching, I don't know, an artist. Alana sighed, pulling the blanket tighter. Babe, he's just a guy who used to know cars. Maybe he worked in a garage years ago before life got to him. Don't overthink it. But Marcus couldn't let it go. Something about the man's words haunted him. I used to race, engines and tracks. They were my life. The next day, Marcus drove back to the gas station, his car running smooth as butter thanks to the old man's touch. He scanned the lot, and sure enough, there the man was, sitting on the curb, holding his cardboard sign. Marcus parked and walked over cautiously. Hey! Old man, the homeless man looked up, his eyes weary but alert. Car still running? Better than ever, Marcus admitted, rubbing the back of his neck. Listen, I wanted to thank you again. And maybe ask something? The old man tilted his head. Ask what? Last night you said you used to race. What did you mean by that? A silence stretched between them. The old man's face hardened, as though Marcus had touched a wound. He looked down at his weathered hands. Those days are gone, he murmured. Nobody remembers. Nobody cares. Just stories in the wind. Marcus sat down on the curb beside him, ignoring the smell of oil and dust. I care. Tell me. The old man studied him for a long moment, searching his face for mockery. Finding none, he sighed deeply. My name's Elijah Cole. 30 years ago, people cheered my name at racetracks across the country. They called me Lightning Cole. Fastest man on the asphalt. I could feel the car, not just drive it. When others saw machines, I saw living, breathing things. Marcus's jaw dropped. Wait, you're saying you were a professional racer? Elijah's eyes glistened, though not from pride. Was. That life ended a long time ago. What happened? Elijah's gaze drifted to the horizon. Fame is like fire. It keeps you warm, makes people gather around you, but get too close and it burns you alive. I won races, made money, traveled the world. But I also made enemies. Sponsors wanted more than I could give. Accidents took friends off the track. And I made choices I regret. Wrong people, wrong deals. It all came crashing down faster than it started. One day, you're a legend. The next, you're a ghost nobody wants to see. Marcus felt his chest tighten. So, you just ended up out here, on the street? Elijah gave a faint, bitter smile. Life doesn't give you soft landings, son. One mistake at the wrong time, and everything you built crumbles. I lost my family, my house, my career. All I had left were these hands. And now, he held them up, trembling from hunger and years of struggle. Now they only shake unless I'm touching an engine. Marcus was speechless. Alana had been right about one thing. Life had gotten to him, but this wasn't just some washed-up mechanic. This was a man who once lived at 200 miles an hour, who once heard cheers instead of mockery. "Why didn't you tell anyone?" Marcus finally asked. Elijah chuckled dryly. "You think anyone wants to hear about a fallen hero? People don't care about what you were, they care about what you are now. And right now, I'm a hungry old man holding a sign. That's all they see." Marcus's throat tightened. "That's not all I see." Elijah looked at him, surprised. Marcus leaned forward. "I don't know why, but I feel like I met you for a reason. You fixed my car, yeah, but it's more than that. I can't stop thinking about it, about you. You're not just nobody. You still matter." For a long moment, Elijah said nothing. Then, quietly, almost in a whisper, he asked, "Why do you care, kid?" Marcus swallowed hard. "Because last night I saw something in you I don't see in a lot of people. Even broken, even hungry, you had pride, dignity. And when you touched that car, it was like watching a man wake up from the dead. I think you still have something to give." Elijah's eyes watered. He quickly looked away, hiding the emotion. At that moment, Alana pulled up in Marcus's car. She stepped out, arms crossed. "Marcus, what are you doing? Talking to him again? We've got things to do." Marcus stood defensive. "I'm trying to understand him. Don't you see who this is? This man used to be—" "I don't care who he used to be," Alana cut in sharply. "Look at him now. He's just a homeless guy who got lucky fixing your car. Don't get dragged into his story. It's not your problem." Elijah rose slowly, brushing dirt off his clothes. "She's right. I'm not your problem. Don't waste your time, son. The world already forgot me." Marcus shook his head, refusing to let it go. "No, I won't forget. You're Elijah Cole, Lightning Cole, and maybe the world gave up on you, but I won't." For the first time in years, Elijah felt something stir in his chest, a flicker of hope he thought had died long ago. The sound of engines in the distance filled the night, and Elijah's eyes followed them instinctively. The hunger in his stomach still gnawed at him, but deeper than that, a hunger of the soul began to awaken. Marcus didn't know it yet, but meeting Elijah Cole wasn't an accident. It was the beginning of something far greater. Marcus didn't keep his word as an empty promise. The very next week, he showed up again at the gas station. Elijah was there. Same spot, same sign, though his eyes flickered with surprise when he saw Marcus holding 2 takeout bags. "I brought food," Marcus said simply, handing one over. Elijah hesitated, then accepted it with both hands, his voice low. "You didn't have to." "I wanted to," Marcus replied, "and I wanted to talk. I told a buddy about you, about Lightning Cole. He didn't believe me, said if that were true, he would have heard of you. So I looked you up." Elijah froze, his hands tightening around the bag. Marcus continued softly. "You were real. I saw your name. Pictures of you holding trophies. Articles about your wins. You weren't lying." For the first time, Elijah smiled. Not the bitter curl of lips he'd worn before, but a real smile, faint and trembling. "They still remember me somewhere?" "They do. Marcus nodded. Even if it's just words on old pages. But Elijah, I don't think your story is over. You may not race again, but you've still got something to teach. I saw it in your hands. You still have magic. Elijah shook his head. Nobody wants to learn from a man who sleeps on the sidewalk. Marcus leaned forward. Then let's prove them wrong. It began small. Marcus would bring him old car parts, busted engines from junkyards, tools borrowed from a cousin's garage. Elijah's eyes would light up every time he touched steel and oil, as if he'd come alive again. Slowly, word spread in the neighborhood. The old homeless man under the gas station light could bring dead cars back to life. At first, people laughed. Then they watched. Then they came with their broken-down vehicles. Elijah never asked for money, only food. But one by one, cars left his hands, stronger than before. One evening, a sleek sports car rolled up. A man in a tailored suit stepped out, his tone sharp. So you're the miracle worker everyone's talking about. I've got a problem nobody's been able to fix. Think you can handle it? Elijah didn't flinch. He lifted the hood, his hands moving with that same rhythm. Minutes later, the engine purred like new. The man's jaw dropped. Impossible, he whispered. You did in 10 minutes what 3 shops couldn't do in a week. When Elijah shrugged it off, the man's eyes narrowed. What's your name? For the first time in decades, Elijah spoke it with pride. Cole. Elijah Cole. The man's mouth fell open. Lightning Cole? The racer? I grew up watching you. The revelation spread like wildfire. Word of mouth carried his story farther than he ever expected. Journalists showed up, cameras capturing the ragged figure with calloused hands who once burned rubber across the nation. They wanted interviews, old photos, stories of the track. Elijah hesitated, but Marcus encouraged him. Tell them, Elijah. Let people know who you really are. So he did. Slowly at first, then with growing strength, Elijah spoke of his victories, his losses, his mistakes. He didn't hide his downfall. He admitted it openly. But he also spoke of resilience, of how even when life stripped him of everything, the fire inside him never fully died. One news clip went viral. The shot of Elijah standing in front of a car he'd just fixed, his ragged clothes fluttering in the wind, saying, "They laughed at me when I asked for food. They thought I was worthless." But a man isn't measured by where he sleeps or what he wears. A man is measured by what still beats inside him, no matter how much the world tries to bury it. Those words hit millions like a thunderclap. Within weeks, a local garage offered him a job, not charity, but respect, a chance to teach young mechanics. Elijah accepted, though he still spent nights at the gas station sometimes, quietly fixing cars for those who couldn't afford help. The world had mocked him, but in the end he stood taller than the laughter. And one night, sitting on that same curb where it had all begun, Elijah turned to Marcus and said, "You gave me back my name. Don't ever doubt what kindness can do. A small act can pull a man out of the grave." Marcus smiled, shaking his head. "No, Elijah. You gave it back to yourself. I just reminded you who you were." Elijah's eyes glistened as he looked at the stars. For the first time in years, he didn't feel invisible. And though he never raced again on the track, he had found something greater. He had raced against despair, and he had won. Because sometimes the greatest race isn't against others. It's against the world telling you you're finished. And when you find the strength to keep going, that's when you truly become a legend. Think about it. How many times do we walk past people every single day, judging them by what they look like, never knowing what battles they've fought, what brilliance they carry, or what legends they once were? Elijah Cole's story reminds us that even the most forgotten faces can hold greatness. Next time you see someone struggling, don't just laugh, don't just walk past, offer them kindness. Because sometimes, all it takes is one person to remind another that their story isn't over. If this story moved you, subscribe to Black Saga, drop a comment, like this video, and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Because stories like Elijah's aren't just stories. They're lessons about life, dignity, and the quiet power of hope.